Just look at this pile of shit or beans or whatever that is at the center of Denver. This about sums up modern art to me. Abstract piles of poop, metal blobs, twisted pipes, and what looks like random piles of industrial waste masquerade across the streets of all of our cities. What is happening? Why is modern art so ugly and aimless? And what does it mean about our culture? The ugliness of modern or postmodern art comes from a variety of places, but one of the main ones, I think, is we live in a culture that is incapable of having an ideal, of aiming upwards, and more so, we like to deconstruct the ideals we have. Let me illustrate this with a quick story. I walked through Denver's Union Station last month and admired the 100-foot tall ceilings and the architecture of centuries past. It was undergoing renovations at the time, and I sat there imagining hiring the greatest artists in Denver to paint the ceiling like the Sistine Chapel with epic new touches and flares, a masterpiece that would inspire every person who got off the train and entered into the city, something that would last for centuries to come. Alas, the ceiling, it was left plain and blank. Why? It wouldn't even cost that much money to paint the ceiling. But the problem is to aim upwards towards God and glory and beauty and virtue. That would be offensive to the last men. We are so scared at aiming upward, at setting an ideal, and therefore we don't aim at all. And we can see this in modern art or postmodern art. It seems to go in every which direction. It lacks purpose and evident meaning altogether. And this is celebrated today because we have such a poor relationship with hierarchy. Beauty, order, aesthetics, nobility, they all imply hierarchy. Hierarchy means that some things are higher than others. Some things are better than others. For example, Michelangelo's paintings in the Sistine Chapel are superior to the modern pieces that resemble a child scribbling. Would you agree? The sculpture of David, perfectly encoded with Leonardo's golden ratio and divine proportions, is more beautiful than all the disproportionate mashings of beginners and modern art experts. When it comes to traditional hierarchy, God is at the top of it. Images of deities, heroes, and angels are right next to him. These pinnacle symbols dominated the art of the classical and Renaissance cultures and are 100% absent from our own. Our culture is incapable of such loftiness, of actually setting an ideal and aiming high. Hence, we aim down. We deconstruct. We make inoffensive, inclusive, and equal. These are the sacred values that we hold at the expense of all others. And the shittiness in our sculptures and architecture is a reflection of the inversion that has happened within the Western soul. We have put things that aren't equal to beauty and loftiness and God on par with them, and we seek to deconstruct the ideals of, let's say, masculinity or heroism or divinity that we used to hold so dearly. For something to be beautiful, it implies something else is ugly. Or else, what does beautiful really mean? For something to be normal, something else has to be abnormal. This is the basic law of contrast and distinction. The problem is this creates exclusion, which is the sworn enemy of the woke left and postmodernism in general. Take body positivity, for instance. To say all bodies are beautiful is an obvious lie, especially when you see an image of fat bastard pounding Big Macs. I really don't mean to be cruel or unkind here. I recognize that everyone is more than just a body. But woke culture demands we do incredible mental gymnastics to make all things equal. Because to say a certain body is far superior, more healthy, and ideal is mean. It's exclusive, yet it's true. In our postmodern worldview that most people don't even recognize they hold, truth doesn't exist. Everything is relative. Anything exclusive is oppressive. Anything superior is a lie, just in need of dismantling. Look at what happened to the Jedi. Star Wars and the Jedi Order, after Disney bought it, had an identity crisis that alienated 90% of the fan base. The worldview of the new owners automatically infected everything and started to destroy. They diminished the heroic Jedi. They tore down the previous ideals, and they dragged beloved heroes like Luke Skywalker through the dirt. They couldn't leave the Jedi to just be knights in service to peace and justice and wisdom. They had to poke holes in everything to pure. They had to bring what was marginalized to the center. Everything noble had to be unmasked, and slowly the whole Jedi Order was deconstructed and forgot what it was in the first place. This is a pure reflection of Western civilization at large. We have forgot who we are and where we come from. I posted a Substack article recently about the ugliness of modern art, starring that pile of shit in Denver. And there's a link below to subscribe to my free Substack, which you should come join. And I had some art students respond and email me about my post. And they were saying that that sculpture wasn't supposed to inspire beauty. It was there to stop and make you think differently about the world. And all of this indoctrination as taught in art school, I could see it coming through. And hey, yes, art doesn't necessarily need a purpose in the classroom. That's fine. But my stance on this is, in a city, this is something different. This is public art, right? And public art and city planning and architecture in general, it shapes the consciousness of the city. It shapes the consciousness of the people. The thinkers and leaders behind the Renaissance understood this. And this is why they created architecture and sculpture and art that was a monument to the divine, that inspired feelings of serenity, virtue, power, and enlightenment within the citizens, within people. Think of walking through a Florence or an Italian city. How do you feel in the courtyards? How do you feel surrounded by the art? And imagine going through that on your daily walk to work, and you're passing through that courtyard. What does it make you feel? Now contrast that with walking past metallic buildings and piles of shit in Denver. How does that make you feel then? You see, one is a net positive for the civilization and the other is a net negative. And this is why art, especially public art and city planning, should be done with a purpose, with the purpose of creating a more enlightened, vigorous, and virtuous civilization. And without that, when we lose that, art just creates more absurdity. It creates more heaviness. It creates more negativity within people. And is that the types of people and the types of cities that you really want to live in? All of this shit is insane. If you talk to any 8-year-old kid, would you rather have a statue of David, a 15-foot tall monument of heroic virtue? Or would you rather have a pile of shit in your front yard? What do you want? Any 8-year-old is going to tell you the statue of David, right? Because this is built into our biology. There's a divine order within the universe that we find beautiful, a divine order that is expressed through our angels, through our heroes, through our gods, and through our stories that we find inspiring. And the whole idea of deconstructionism is to take that divine order and break it down into these little parts and point out why life is just absurd, or why life is meaningless, or how art can just be anything. That is absolute bullshit. Ultimately, all art is propaganda, especially public art. And the problem is Western civilization, we have forgotten where we have come from and where we are going. We lack an aim, and we lack a connection to that which is superior, divine beauty. And because of that, our art and our people and our civilization shoots in every which direction. We lose these great opportunities to inspire greater and more magnanimous feelings within people because we just want to show them these meaningless statues and stamp it as art. My friends, when a culture forgets itself, especially when Western culture forgets itself, It's time to go backwards. It's time to return to the classical ideals that once made us great, to go study the Renaissance, to go study antiquity, and revive the aristocratic spirit to guide us forward once again. That is what this channel is dedicated to. Thanks for watching Wisdom Warriors, and you can click here for a playlist on my cultural critiques. Peace.